Welcome back. Glenda Tuaine has never seen a picture of her grandfather, George Tuaine, when he was a young man. Sergeant George Tuaine was one of the Cook Islanders who fought in the 1914 to 1918 Great World War I. Then, out of the blue, a recolored photograph of Glenda's grandfather was found. Here's her story.
First of all, I just want to acknowledge Bobby Nicholas and Kate Walker and Paula Paniani and the National Archives, because initially Bobby Nicholas got in touch with me because a man called Steve McLaren had been in touch with them through the World War I NZEF research project, Cook Island Soldiers Research Project, and asked that they try to find any descendants of Sergeant George Tuaine, who was in a picture that Steve McLaren had of his grandfather, who was George McLaren, and there were a lot of diary entries in the diary that he had about Tuaine, Sergeant Tuaine, and obviously they were mates. And he wanted to find out whether the project would be able to find some descendants of George Tuaine so that he could pass on the picture that he had of the battalion or the group that they were in, because he'd had it colourised. And so Bobby Nicholas got in touch with me and then asked me a couple of questions, and was this my grandfather? And I had my granddad's military records already because of the Gallipoli project to Papa. Sean Mellon had contacted me and provided me with all the research on granddad's military history. And then what happened was we verified that, yep, that was my granddad. And so then Paula Paniani contacted me via Facebook and said, I've got a really big surprise for you. I've got some pictures of your granddad, which was so emotional and so incredibly mind-blowing, because we lost a lot of the pictures of granddad, and I've never actually really seen a picture of granddad as a young man. And when I went down to the National Archive, of course, it was a really emotional experience for me. And this beautiful, amazing picture of Grandad as this young man in his uniform with the group of men that he fought with. And it's just been an incredible experience. And I'm really, really grateful to Steve McLaren and to the team from the World War I Cook Island Research Project. So Grandad obviously must have instilled a bit of service, because my dad joined the army and he was in the 161 battery, which went to Vietnam, and they were the first soldiers to go to Vietnam. And recently, within about an hour of me hanging up from Paula Paniani and finding out about this picture of Grandad, my mum contacted me and said that the 161 battery were being honoured by the Australian government for the service that they'd had in Vietnam, and that there was a new medal for Dad as well. Because the sad thing is, the Vietnam War was a really difficult time, as war is at any time, but the soldiers didn't get treated that well. And so the 161 battery, because they were the first ones to go, had a really tough time. And Dad told me a lot of quite horrible stories about what happened there. So it's just been, in the lead up to Anzac, it's just been an incredible moment for myself and for my family that Grandad and Dad are being honoured in the way that they are.
Welcome back. Last night, CITV played part A of an interview with Glenda Tuaine. A recolored photograph of her grandfather, who was in the World War of 1914, was recovered. Tonight, we have the rest of this story, where Ms. Tuaine tells us more about the organisation behind the restoration of such war images.
It's like gold when you get something like this. It's worth so much to you personally and for your family and for future generations. So for all those people that are still searching and looking for connections or trying to find the records of their grandfathers, fathers, great-grandfathers, that research project, the World War I Cook Islands Research Project, is an incredible, incredible thing. And the people that are working on it are just so passionate and so engaged in what they're trying to do, and so giving of their time. And if you're looking, I really strongly recommend getting in touch with the group, because they are so helpful they have, and they want to be able to connect the dots for people, and that's what it feels like. You know, for me, for a long time, I knew Granddad had gone to war. I knew that he'd been in World War I, but I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't have... you know, I'd seen a small clip of him when he was injured in the paper, and, you know, even when I'd go to the Gallipoli exhibition at Te Papa, I'd be trolling the pictures of the Pacific Island, the contingent, to try and find his face, which is so hard. Now I know exactly what his face looked like as a young boy, as a young man going off to war, and that just fills in so many gaps for you. It just makes you feel... I can't even express how it makes you feel. It made me feel really emotional when I first saw the picture, because I just was overcome with seeing him, but also everything started joining together, and it just filled me with incredible pride. It's interesting because about 6 years ago I started writing a script about my grandfather's experience of going to war, and every time I was continuing writing it, something new would come up, and I'd think, oh, really? Is this a short film? What is this? And so now I feel like things have come around for me. I know that I needed to wait on that script for a longer period of time. You know how it is, Logan. You know, you're creating stuff and you just know that it's not quite right yet. Now that I have a picture of him and I have much more detail on him, I feel, the writing urge coming on again to be able to honour him, but also to honour Pārima, because my granddad's brother went to war as well. He enlisted in Rarotonga, to honour those soldiers, because the horrific experience that they've had, but also it joined them together in love and mateship, and built the character of those people. The other thing is that I do recommend for people who are searching for their family is to go onto the Ngā Taonga Vision and Sound website, which is the Film Archives, the National Film Archives of New Zealand, because since this story happened, since I posted it, they've been in touch with me with footage of the contingent that Granddad went away on in their trip, and you can see footage of those soldiers, which is, again, an incredible experience.